Let's move on for now and talk about the climate crisis. It's gripping the entire world, from droughts to floods, sweltering heat to wildfires, extreme weather, natural calamities pounding multiple countries around the world. Let's start off with the situation in Japan. 3 people have lost their lives due to the scorching heat there. One of them was a 13-year-old girl. She was just cycling back home from her school club when she succumbed to a heat stroke. She was found unconscious on a pavement and died at the hospital. In Tokyo, an elderly couple were found dead in their home again due to heat stroke. As the mercury hit 35.7 degrees Celsius. Do you know how many Japanese die due to heat waves every year? 1,295 on an average. Between 1995 and 1999, this figure stood at 201, and now it's close to 1,300 deaths. Can you see the impact of climate change right there? And it's not just the heat, of course. A typhoon is also approaching Japan's Okinawa island chain. It is threatening torrential rainfall and high winds. All flights to and from the Naha area have been cancelled. Residents in a wide swathe of the tropical prefecture have been advised to evacuate. At least 20,000 people are expected to be affected in Naha alone. Let's move on to South Korea now. 12 people have died due to extreme temperatures there. At least 5 of them were farmers, 7 were over 70 years, some were well in their 90s. You see, an aging population is more vulnerable to heat waves. According to a Lancet report, in fact, by 2025, 1 in 5 people in South Korea are expected to be older than 65. The country will be home to a super aging population, as it's called. And by the year 2050, 44% of South Koreans may be over 65, and the heat is only getting worse. How will South Korea protect its elderlies? The question extends to the whole world, in fact. Just look at the state of affairs in China. These are the visuals coming up on your screen. It has been raining heavily since 4 days now. Typhoon Doksuri has claimed at least 20 lives there. 13 people are missing. Several residential areas stand flooded. Rivers have swollen to dangerous levels. Beijing has sealed off over 100 mountain roads. More than 52,000 people have been evacuated from their homes. Some areas have become graveyards of wrecked cars. Rescue work is underway. Helicopters are dropping off food, drinking water supplies, emergency supplies in the flood-hit areas. Similar state of affairs in the Philippines. It has been hit by Typhoon Canal. The country had not even started recovering from Typhoon Doksuri. Dozens had died, millions were impacted, and now there is another typhoon. Rivers have overflown, houses inundated up to chest deep. Here's what the residents there have been saying.
My kids are with my mother-in-law because we don't have any place to sleep, because our house is flooded. Our situation now is so difficult. We also haven't worked in days because we can't leave our families like this.
Our situation is hard. It's so difficult to keep all of our things dry and put them on a higher place in our house. Our appliances are heavy. We also need food and clean water.
The Panama Canal, meanwhile, is drying up. A historic drought has been emptying the canal since the beginning of this year. The vital trade waterway connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans across the Isthmus of Panama. A lack of rainfall affected passage across the canal. Its operator has lowered the depth of the ships allowed through now, and this is slowing down the traffic across the busy connector, which, by the way, accounts for 3.5% of the global trade. The canal is a major throughway for international container shipments, especially for American liquefied natural gas exports to Asia. Such droughts used to occur every 5 years, but now they have become a lot more frequent. And it does not take a genius to guess. This is all thanks to climate change. What really is going on around the world? Need I remind you of the Greece wildfires? The blaze is finally dying down after smoldering for good 2 weeks. And why just Greece? Wildfires have been raging across the Mediterranean. This is not just unprecedented, but outright concerning. At the risk of sounding preachy, I ask you to wake up and do something about this. About time we realize that our planet is in peril, and it's high time we take accountability.